Hi everyone, welcome to the website's call. We always begin this call with the introduction of our newest members. And I see one newcomer on the call today, one or two if I'm not wrong. So, welcome to the community, you guys. You can go. Uh, yes, yes.
कॉलेज तो जा ही रहा हूँ ना, ये कॉलेज कैसे छोड़ो.
Yes, you're on mute. Okay. Right. So if you guys want to introduce yourself to all of us here and tell us what brings you here and what you want to work with, anything that you'd like, now is the time. So let's start. I'm not sure if Yash is new on the call, but I don't think I've heard from you before. Yash, do you want to go ahead with your introduction first? Yash or Tejas, I think you're new on the call as well, right?
Yes, Devupriya. Hi, I'm Tejas. I'm currently learning UI UX, and I'm hoping to contribute to layer 5. Yes, that's it.
That's great. Welcome, Tejas. I don't think we have any other newcomer. So once again, Yash, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to introduce yourself to the community, you can go ahead and do that right now. And it's okay, like the mic problem wasn't an issue. It's completely fine. All right, so whenever you're comfortable, we can have a chat with you. So if there are no other newcomers on the call, I think we can start with the agenda items. Let's switch the order a little bit today and start with Meshri.io. And I'll hand it over to Abhi now to talk about the playground. And Abhi, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'm just doing it. Yeah, so today I will be talking about the new Meshmap Playground interface. That is we are planning to host an Meshmap interface live on the website, most probably on the Meshri.io itself. So what you can do is you can just try out Meshmap, some limited functionality of it, and you can actually without any extra setup from your side, you can run it uh, and play around it, play around most of the features that it provides. And there will be some features that will be restricted for you to try on. That's because the environment limitations that we have. And that's what you will be provided with. So for example, right now I'm just logging in that hosted playground environment. It's not hosted, but it's a simulation of that hosted environment. You will see exactly that when you will be doing in this week or later. So so basically what I have right now is that it's a Meshmap UI where you can design things, you can design your infrastructure, you can design any we say patterns, or you can import any applications, you can do something with the filters also. So that's what it is right now. That's the mesh map, and you will have some limitation in terms of how you can use the mesh UI. For example, in your playground interface, you can only see mesh map and only mesh map. Other than that, you can have the access to dashboard also, but the rest of the features like configuration lifecycle adapters and probably an extra Kubernetes will be restricted for you, because that's one of the precursor of what we are going to host on the Meshri.io. So what precursor means that whatever you will be seeing in the hosted environment as a final release, it's just one of the steps in the direction of that. So there will be more features right now that will be restricted, but with time or with more efforts and more iterations, the final hosted environment that you will be getting will have almost everything, but certain part of it again restricted, but not like right now where so you'll get something better than what it is right now in the actual hosted environment. So because that's a precursor and we are moving in that direction. So basically you can design your applications. I mean, you design your infrastructure with various applications that you have. You can pick any Kubernetes component from the left drawer, set up a cluster role, config maps, cron jobs, or whatever you say, you'll see. And there is an introduction of a more static components that is fetched directly from the Helm chart repo, and you'll get available to those components as well. And there are certain other things that are not running right now, but you will be provided with in the final hosted environment. For example, configurations of various service meshes, examples, Istio, Linkerd, Kuma, and I think whatever we support right now, you will be getting all of that. And what I was saying is that in the precursor, you won't be getting the functionality of deploy, undeploy, validate, etc. Because someone saying something. Okay. Yeah. So that will be the state of it. And there is this, another thing that we provide with the mesh map that is called visualizer. But since it is also being, since in the precursor, you won't be getting access to one of the Kubernetes cluster, any of the Kubernetes cluster, but maybe in the hosted environment you will be. So since it's a precursor, because there will be no Kubernetes cluster, you won't have anything to be to consume from the side of the visualizer. So what visualizer does is that it shows your current cluster, like whatever you are running in the in your Kubernetes cluster, how many clusters. I mean, there can be multiple clusters you can connect to the mesh map and Meshery, and all the cluster data and everything that is running in your cluster and context will be visible to you as a visual interface, and you can select or see or change or configure anything from the visualizer itself. You can run logs, you can exec into sessions, and do multiple things with the help of visualizers. And so in the precursor, that thing will also be kind of disabled for you, but definitely you can try out the mesh map itself and use those functionality to do whatever you want. So yeah, there is definitely a banner that will say you that this is a playground interface and some features might be unavailable. Yeah, so I think that's more or less about the playground interface. If you have any doubt, then you can ask it right now.
I've got a couple of thoughts or a couple of questions, just while other people are coming up with their questions. One of them, one thing to say is just to augment what Abhi had said, which is that this is likely to land on play.meshery.io. There have been there's a link out there on the meshery.io site now. There's any number of people who've signed up to be notified when the playground is ready. The goal of the functionality of the playground is to have, this is a long-term goal, but it's to have all of Meshery's capabilities, all of Meshery's functionality enabled so that people can really go there, learn. And it wouldn't just be about Meshery that they're learning, but about a slew, like all of the things that Meshery integrates with. So Abhi mentioned a couple of service meshes, but those would just be an example of many different pieces of cloud native infrastructure that people could configure. The point is to facilitate a learning environment, to be able to allow other projects to demo their capabilities. So we would want to coordinate with other CNCF projects and have them, put their feedback in here, have them come up with some sample designs that they might want to have sitting in the public facing catalog so that people can have content to play with. It's a great way for, the vast majority of the other CNCF projects to show themselves off. Recently, at this last KubeCon, OpenTelemetry had put up the start of something of a playground for their project. And Meshery, since it manages cloud native infrastructure, stands to be that playground for all of the projects. So it could be really, really neat in that regard. Initially, like that yellow banner down below that needs a little bit of love in terms of the color of the yellow and the contrast of the text and the capitalization of environment for some reason with the comma in the middle of the sentence for some reason. All needs to be evaluated, but that indicates that not all features will be available, and it really took disabling of the vast majority of Meshery's features in order to arrive at something that can safely be presented to the masses, or that can be opened up to the internet. People will still need to authenticate to the playground. If you think about it, if you're familiar with like play.docker.labs or whatever it is, labs.playwithdocker.com, I don't know, playwithkubernetes.docker.com. You have to sign into those environments as well. Anyway, the capabilities have been, for lack of a better term, neutered so that people don't run nefarious workloads. They don't Bitcoin mine. They don't bump into each other. Because if there's a bunch of people signed into the playground, and you are allowed to provision workloads or manage the Kubernetes cluster, you could mess it up for the other people in the same sandbox with you. What will become, I think, interesting really fast is something that Abhi isn't demoing, and that's fine, probably on purpose, because I'll probably show it a different time, but is the ability for people to do collaboration and collaboratively work on designs. I think that will be, the playground might become something of a public service for people both people that want to communicate visually, to jump on and diagram, work with certain diagrams about how they're going to deploy their infrastructure. It could become really popular for people to pull in common configurations about a given deployment and then engage and talk to each other over, how they want to change the design. And so, actually, you're seeing it now. There's a couple of cursors on the screen, a couple of people in there, changing the design, kind of working with each other. I think that's going to be super interesting for people. I said I had a couple of thoughts, and I didn't mean to prattle on. The other thing, the thing I was trying to say was that we've talked about having play.meshery.io for a long time. Because it's locked down like this, we can potentially start to get it out there. So that does mean that, well, if it does get published and people do come to sign in, they'll need a little bit of guidance to start with, because it's otherwise a blank canvas. They'll need a little bit of, well, some content, some content in the public Meshery catalog to just play with and use as samples and change up. So there's a few names that come to mind about people who are to be producing public content. And all of you are welcome to do it. Any of you are welcome to go deploy Meshery today. And any of you can go use what Abhi is showing, unrestricted, create designs and publish them into the public catalog, actually. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and my what I wanted to say were those two suggestions about publishing content. Cool. Do other people have feedback or questions? Yeah, cool. Yeah. So for those of you who are here, contributing, well, there's any number of, first of all, go try out this playground deployment model. Abhi will have instructions published on the discussion forum later today about how you can try that. It's a new feature, so maybe, or a new mode. So maybe there's bugs. Something that I imagine that people who are playing around, they might do a design, they might be benefiting from the public catalog content. They might, since they're signing in, if they do create designs, those will be automatically persisted, and they can sign back in and retrieve them and come back and work on the same designs. If they wanted to take that design, if they're like, great, this is neat, I'm intrigued, I'd like to use this to manage some of my infrastructure, but since the playground environment doesn't let me do that, can I download my design, like take it with me, and then deploy Meshry locally and import it into Meshry, and then have Meshry actually affect that design, like affect the infrastructure? They can simply, there's a couple of answers here. One is that they can simply just go run Meshry in their environment, sign in using the same account, and they'll have the same designs. That's the simplest answer. This particular UI is missing a download button. So yeah. Not necessary that they do, but I think people feel comfortable when they see one. So other thoughts, so by the way, yeah, just kind of rolling off of this, anybody, jump in if there's questions. There's one of the missing capabilities that has prevented the playground from being released is, well, the ability for people to self-sign up, have a user account, and reset their password if they need to, or verify their email address, all of those things. And so Nikhil Ladha, who just had to go off screen, I think he'll be right back. But he'd been working hard over the weekend with some other folks to put up a set of self-service screens. So I figured that's a good thing to get some feedback on and have people jump in if they want to. Yep. So Nikhil has another call. So not a good time for him to show it off, but he'll be back.
No, I can't show up now. I think there's an item in between the dark mode from Krishna. So I'll let that happen. Then I can do it.
So, though I don't think we have Krishna or Gaganpreet on the call today, so I think we'll have to move to your topic first.
Yeah. And I don't know if Nikhil needs time or not, but actually I would like to talk about it irrespective of whether or not either of the two of them show up. Like we can't let the progress not go forth. So Nikhil, do you want to go now and I'll do the...
You can go ahead, no problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me pull it up. So everybody's familiar with Meshry.io. It does not have a dark mode at the moment. And, any engineering centric site that's worth its salt should probably have a dark mode. So if we go out to the Meshry.io website or repo, one of the open pull requests is there's a dark mode preview. I don't know that there's been a lot of feedback that I've given on this, and some others have as well. I don't think anything has been done recently, even though we've had a couple of meetings giving specific feedback. So we'll have to check in with Krishna. If he's not going to work on it, then we'll need to pick it up and someone else on the call can take it on. But every time that you open up a pull request, well, there's a deploy preview created. And then each time that you push additional commits, that deployment preview is updated. So what Krishna has done is included a switcher between two modes. He's also made a few different changes to the light mode as well. And so there's about 25 or so outstanding points of feedback for him to incorporate. But light mode starts to look like this. I think one of the bigger issues that needs to be worked on or figured out is this background gradient. It's being used as an accent here to highlight, the important parts of the message. Okay. It's also used in some areas for, so you can see this is this is a button. That's what that button looks like. But there's a little bit of intermixing of like things that are non-interactable with things that are interactable using, some of the same colors. So we're kind of misleading the user, and that feedback's been given quite a bit. And so anyway, here's what dark mode starts to look like. Some nice gradients are used all throughout. There's lots of points of feedback that's been given. The thing is the PR is up. Anybody here is welcome to jump in and add commits to it, like to help get this finished. One of the things that I thought turned out really well in terms of the use of gradients is these cards, really nice. You'll notice there's a little bit of a light gradient going to darker here and a little bit lighter out here. The one point of feedback is that this is just a single color here. So usually you like to try to keep the inverse happening between the two modes. So maybe there would be a light shadow or a little bit of darkness here. But I mean, these things are beautiful anyway. I remember a certain someone creating these and how happy they made me then, how happy they make me now. They're so nice. Oh, they're so, okay. Yeah, anyway, there's other pages, right, that with the dark mode, and there's things about the menu that are happening that are different. And so, yeah, don't hesitate to collaborate with Krishna. I don't think it's worth giving a ton of feedback right now because a lot has been given already. So definitely this needs to be demonstrated again. I don't think it's too far away though from potentially being merged or potentially going out. There's a related effort to trying to basically taking this section out of the site. This is great. Meshry has these adapters. It supports these service meshes. This is great. It continues to do this, but there's a growing number of other integrations that Meshry has. And so Kamal Singh, who's on the call, do you want to talk about what this might be displaced with? And I'll give Kamal 5 more seconds, and if he doesn't, then I'll do it. For 1,000, 1,000. Okay, so one of the things that we want to do is highlight the number of integrations that Meshry has. There have been work by many of you going on that very thing on the Layer 5 IO site. So most recently, a number of you have been working on cataloging and publishing, documenting these integrations. And they still need work. These screenshots aren't really relevant to Homebrew, but they're not bad screenshots. Anyway, there's a lot of work to be done. Over here, there's work going on to present a different way to demonstrate those integrations, to visualize those integrations. And so the thought is that potentially it could be an interesting thing to have an interactive and three-dimensional interface. Specifically, this version, the Helix version of this visualization, could be put onto Meshry.io, the main page, and then a dedicated integrations page could be here, like it is now. Each of these should be, you should be able to click them and go to the specific integration. So there's a spreadsheet that tracks all of these integrations and has all the hyperlinks and SVGs for color and light and dark modes, and lots of info that drives this. So I'm hoping Aditya Chatterjee has an update on how we're automating the publishing of that spreadsheet. So Aditya, anything to add there? Looking, and I don't know, is Aditya still with us, Chatterjee?
Yep, I'm here. Went
Okay.
to the
Nice. Anything to add there?
No, I went to the loo. I didn't hear. Sorry.
Oh, so these, these integrations, there's a lot of them. And so we're tracking those inside of a spreadsheet that I'm trying to pull up. Oops. And so and you're looking at automating the publication of that spreadsheet, right? I wanted to know if you had updates to give on that effort.
So I was thinking about, like we talked yesterday, so I was thinking about how to do it. I haven't really gotten to it completely, because you said that we'll use GitHub in between, and the automation in Make would be it would be very minimal in Make, right? There would just be a trigger and the spreadsheet, and then it moves on to GitHub. So I tried I actually have no idea how to do it on GitHub. So I was thinking about that. Might need some help there. Otherwise, if we only use Make, it'll probably be easier for me that way. But then again, we'll have a huge workflow.
Got you. Okay. So that's a good call for other people to engage. So the spreadsheet that's here, as information is added about each particular project, Pixie, for example, it falls under this category. It's described in this way. That all of that information is put into an MDX friendly format of this markdown. So, which is what we're showing here. Usually, when you paste, usually it would be there'd be a few line returns, but there's a front matter section that starts here and a front matter section that ends here. This same YAML or the same JSON can be used, is what is used to publish the integrations on this page. So each of these integrations are driven by that spreadsheet. So the same can be true for the integrations here. And so there's various ways to trigger when a change is made in the spreadsheet to trigger an update to both of the sites. That's totally automatable. Here's a link to the spreadsheet. And yes, Subedi, this could be a good place for you to jump in to help ensure that potentially it's not just Layer 5 IO and Meshry.io that get updated with this info, but it's also docs.meshry.io, because you'd have documentation on each of the integrations. It's also literally Meshry server's code. It gets updated with the information that's in this spreadsheet. The way in which Meshry interfaces with each of these systems like SPIFFE and Spire, that's programmatically done using using, and for lack of going into the details, like using the SDK of each of these projects to programmatically describe how it is that Meshry integrates with them, and allows people to visually configure them. And so, yep, so the same info is used in Meshry server, and then it's used on any number of websites. So this is a really rather important spreadsheet. So if you're making changes, please do. Each of the areas in red are in need of help. So Project Galaxy is not categorized, but needs a category defined for it, is an example. Most of the information in here is also kind of programmatically populated. So things like this description for, what is this, for gRPC, that's pulled from this second sheet, which has a ton of info about all the projects, their categories and things. Where that isn't possible sometimes, and we just need to write it down, then those cells are marked in yellow. So the yellow cells have been manually populated. Okay, anyway, a lot to talk about integrations. They're very core to what Meshry does. We're hoping to present this Helix on the main Meshry IO page. We'll note though that it can be a bit of it can take a little while to load. So one of the things that, like Yash, who's here, or I forget, or Tejas or Tejas, and I live in Texas, and so if you say, if there's a Tejas, it would be Tejas. You know, that would be embarrassing to not say that. But for you, it's Tejas. So anyway, for anyone who wants to jump into this effort, since Kamal Singh doesn't want to speak to it today for some reason, the thing that's needed here is a loading spinner, because it can take a while to load up each of the icons and kind of load up the Three.js that's being used to create the 3D interface. Cool. Yeah.
So any questions or feedback till now? Then I
So,
think, yeah.
Yeah. So by the way, if you're on the call and you are looking to do front end oriented things and do want a place to jump in, like one of the things that's needed fairly quickly is a loading indicator for that, those integrations on Meshry.io.
All right, so I think we can move up to the next topic. Nikhil, will you be sharing your screen?
Yeah. So, okay. So first giving some background on what this is. So basically, if you have already deployed Meshry locally, tried out Meshry, you must have seen a provider page login where you would have seen 4 options to log into Meshry via different social auths. That is what basically Meshry Cloud UI is, or you could say the Meshry Cloud login pages. That is the way through which you can interact, like sign into Meshry and access various features that we have under Meshry. As of now, Meshry Cloud features are very limited, like it's only used for authentication to Meshry, but the future aspects are much more vast, and you could use it for various different purposes. For example, Meshry Playground, for instance. So recently there was some like work around to improve the authentication scenario and use Kratos as one of the authentication module, you could say, to integrate social sign-in, as well as allow the user to input their email ID and password to create an account under Layer 5 Cloud. As of now, it was only possible using social auths like GitHub, Google, Twitter, or LinkedIn. But with Kratos, we could the user can actually enter the username and password along with email ID and create an account under Meshri Cloud. So this is a new Meshri Cloud instance that you are seeing, the Meshri Cloud UI basically, through which the user, and this is a UI you would be seeing when you deploy Meshri locally soon. And you would be able to create an account using your email ID and password. For example, if I just enter my email ID, create a password, name, and click on sign up, then basically you are signed into Meshri Cloud. You have a logout option, you can log out of it. And it follows all the basic scenarios how a general user sign up works. So suppose I just created a sign up new user account, you would get a verification link to verify your email ID, and only then you would be able to sign into your account. Otherwise, it would restrict you to sign, saying that your account is not yet active. I will forward to verify email address. You would be getting a email through which you could verify email address. I will do that quickly. So, yep, that is done. Not sure if that was visible or not. I doubt. Anyways, considering it is done, let me do a quick reload and try signing in again. So this basically error means is that the request, since the session wasn't renewed and the existing session expired because a validation token was sent to verify email address, we are getting this token expired error. But it's not an issue if you just go back to the page, you are logged in, log out, try logging in again, and you will be able to log to Meshri Cloud. This is the instance. Consider the scenario if you are a new user and you want to verify, or suppose you forgot to verify email ID within a particular time instance, or you didn't got your verification mail. Then you could just go ahead and enter the email ID that you used to create your Meshri Cloud account. This would basically send you a mail that okay, the mail has been sent to you to verify email address. Once you are done, go back to the sign up page and enter your credentials to log into it. Same goes for forward password. Like it basically follows all the basic or regular user credentials scenario that a user would find in any of the different applications that you use around. As of now, it was very limited, but with Kratos, we are now able to provide the user with the option to use the manage user credentials like email ID and password to create an account under Nearby. And you can use it under different scenarios, for example, Meshri or Meshri Playground, and in future might be in Layer 5.io as well. That's a separate case. I won't go into that, but yeah. So for example, if you're not interested in using your email ID password, you could use your, this is bad. This is probably happening because I'm under a local session. But if you want, you could try it on the staging side. The instance is hosted under staging. I'm not sure if that's accessible, but yeah, if that's accessible, then you should be able to try it out. And if have any feedback, we'll share it with the wider audience. This is the backend is being handled by Go, thanks to Uzair, who has been working on it. And we are able to successfully get it merged and completed. It's the first instance. So soon we will be deploying it to production, and you would be seeing it on your machines when deploying Meshri to create a user account and play around with it. Yeah, that would be all about the new UIs for Meshri Cloud. If you're wondering what Kratos is, then I will leave a link in the chat for you to jump around.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, this is awesome. And so this will end up being either the same or very similar to what people will see if they go to sign in to play.meshery.io, which is fantastic. I have a cool technical question, Nikhil, if I could. Just trying to improve a couple of small items on the site itself. One of those items being the slider here, this slick slider or whatever it is well, maybe let me take that back. Let me not. That's leading the question, or rather the question is, there's a 100 VH like height. Or there's a tall height to the container, and I think it's to the whole body, like the whole main, and what I'm trying to I think it's obvious now what I'm trying to ask and having a hard time to do, which is like, hey, how do we not statically set that at a specific height, but rather just have that be like 100% thing, such that the static height kind of gets
So basically, having that, I saw your comment recently, like you commented around the minimum height 100 VH. So basically, if we want the elements to occupy the complete height of the page, we need to set that minimum height property for it to occupy the complete height. Otherwise, it won't be occupying the complete height, and it only will limit it up till the height of the elements that we're using. It's like if suppose the main CSS that you see on the right side, if you just uncomment the minimum height on the side, it should take up the whole side. The reason for using minimum height and not height exactly is because height, if we just restrict it to height, then we can't see an overflow. That might be hidden probably. But using minimum height basically allows us that if a user with different resolution comes into the page, it will take up the whole page initially and later on adjust according to the resolution that the user has.
Nice. Yeah. Now I think the only reason, okay. Yeah. So I'm probably pointing to the wrong area. Like I think the issue that maybe I was trying to come around is the vertical placement of the vertical adjusting of where this slider lands.
Slider is, yeah, I've seen that it doesn't land center vertically. I've tried around it a bit. It didn't got into center somehow. I'm not sure what was the issue. So I left it out and just applied some margin to be it in the center and played around with some media queries. There is some issue, probably tampering a bit with the CSS might bring it to the center. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that minimum height is orthogonal to, great. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's great. So, yeah.
Any questions or feedback for Nikhil? All right. Right. So thank you, Nikhil, for the demo. Next up, we have Aditya's topic, test with Playground Mode UI.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. Yeah, I'll just test this out, right? I don't need to do anything right now. Okay.
No, cool. Yeah. So, so sorry, I totally put Chatterjee on the spot here, and it wasn't to. I didn't intend for him to be done with this test, but rather just to reinforce that. So Abhi earlier on the call was demonstrating the playground, and then Chatterjee, do you want to talk about what that means for different deployment modes? The Meshery that you can deploy Meshery in?
Okay, yeah. So for the Docker desktop extension, it would like, so everyone would have a little bit of mesh map where they could, use the designer and then like see for themselves what what more capabilities there are. So yeah, okay, I'll test it out. There's no reason that it won't work, but yeah. And
Yeah.
lately, yeah, you might want to check out the Docker extension. I don't know how, but it's become like really smooth. It's my choice of deployment right now.
The Docker extension, yeah. I just realized as you were speaking, I like running a test of that new playground mode within the Docker Meshery extension is a good thing to do, although that is not the target deployment model. I was just realizing that while it's possible for people to do that, the version of the extension that we're releasing, it wouldn't include playground mode, or it wouldn't be built under that mode. So I don't know that that's the best ask that I've made. But yeah, if it's convenient to test it at some point, it would be interesting to just confirm, hey, it behaves just as you would expect, or not. But yeah, probably low priority. I didn't realize yeah.
Yep.
Right. So, circling back to this topic, I saw some discussion on chat. So, do we have any volunteers right now who wants to take this up? This is about the integrations loading indicator on Meshery.io. Yash or Tejas or Kamal, did any one of you finalize and who's going to work on this? All right, if there's a volunteer on the call right now, let's make sure that we open up an issue to track this effort. Right. So, all right. So there's the next topic is about the leaderboards. So I'm not. I think we have Leonard on the call today. Leonard, this was something that you were looking into for a while, right? Do you have any updates to share about what's the status or what we are going to do moving forward about the leaderboards on Discuss.io?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so prior to this year's LFS mentorship, I had Serene working on the leaderboard and was actually making headway. But then, due to other stuff she had to do with the community, so she told me she had to put it on pending. She's done with the CNCF mentorship. So usually that's like where we stopped so far on the leaderboard feature. And because to an extent she understands Ruby and a lot of things that would have helped facilitate going forward with the leaderboard feature. So I and Aditya, I think he doesn't really know how we could integrate that, even the code we had. But somehow Serene was actually making headway. So I was hoping that if she got back, or if she had some chance on her plate, we could like somehow discuss through the whole thing, because then I was reaching out to her every week to see how we probably move forward. That was where we stopped at the point. I don't know if you heard me. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So if anybody volunteers, we could look into this thing together. And then I wanted to say that looking at the metrics that was written on these docs on how we could like foster the discussion forum growth, that would have been very nice. Like having some showing how you showing a leader for like with the top provider, So that was also some of the thoughts that I had with Lee on how things could move forward on what metrics we use on the leaderboard. So I think the only challenge we have is actually how to embed the leaderboard on the discussion forum. The logic or whatever metrics we're supposed to use wouldn't have been like much of a hassle. But because we couldn't like find a way to embed the JavaScript into the leaderboard, that has been like the roadblock that needs to be cleared for now. So I don't know how, if Serene is on the call and if she feels we could actually continue working on this, or if there's an extra and another volunteer that maybe I'll work together with on this future. So unless Lee have a suggestion, he always does.
So
Yeah, I mean, Serene she's under internship, under my internship, under a different focus. So yeah, she won't re-engage here. Yeah, my suggestion is to like go post about it on the Discuss forum, something that I'm still looking for a champion of, someone to really drive the forum and activity around it. And that champion might want to even talk about the fact that we're missing leaderboards on the forum. That'd be great. I think that Chatterjee is looking for a new challenge, and that he's had experience with the Discuss forum. Conceptually, it's like extraordinarily easy to put up a leaderboard. It's just a Postgres database behind the forum. So you just gotta get a custom query and restyle the results. There are a few built-in boards that pretty much have this already. It would probably just be a paring down of the existing board. There's some existing reports that talk about, the number of solutions done this month. So yeah, I would engage with Chatterjee. If you guys don't get it, minimally make sure that you like describe it and post about it on the forum itself, which is a great like self-reinforcement of the forum.
Yeah, okay. All right, Lee, I heard you. Thanks.
And Leonard, do you have any update on the search feature that we're supposed to add to the integrations page?
Yeah, I haven't actually pushed any code, but then I'm actually working on it even currently as we speak. I was having some issues, but then definitely before tomorrow I would create a PR.
All right. And talking about the integrations once more. Yeah, this particular issue of converting the stacked version of the filters to a carousel on the home page. So I think I saw on Slack that someone else had volunteered to work on this. But Kamal, can you just check with them once? And if like there's no progress, then you can take that up. Kamal is not on the call. Okay, I'll convey that to him. Right. So, okay. Any other topics today? Or did anyone of you have anything else to discuss?
I do. I think, yeah. So Sahil just joined and had a couple of questions about where to go with the integrations on Meshry.io. So we only have 3 minutes, and so I'm going to hit this really fast, which is there's a couple of things. One is to create a loading spinner for the integrations on Meshry.io. The second one is to get the Helix version of the integrations onto the main page, onto the main homepage of Meshry.io. You will displace the existing Meshry adapters table with the Helix version of the integrations. You might find that you don't want to display all the integrations there just because it takes too long to load. It might be too big. It really shouldn't be very big on the main page. And so that you might end up trying to redirect people to the full set of integrations on the dedicated integrations page. Those things are top of mind for how to display the integrations on Meshry.io. There's another related initiative. Well, okay, so there's a white mode or a light mode needed for that 3D diagram of all the integrations. We only have it in dark mode right now, and there needs to be a light mode. That relates to the light and dark mode effort that Krishna and Gangan Preet are looking at on Meshri.io. Yeah.
And could you please point out what you meant by Helix integration? Like, could you please send me some URLs related to that?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. There's an open PR. It's like the second to the most recent open PR. It's in draft. That's the one about integrations. There's another one about dark mode that you'll probably take over as well, Sahil, or coordinate with Krishna.
Yep, I will tag him and have a hurdle with them.
I think I'll find the link in chat. Abhi just shared it.
Yeah, I will just look into it.
So, any other topics for today? We're right at time. So, if we don't have any other topics, we can wrap up the call now. I'll wait for 2 seconds. All right. So, thank you everyone for joining. See you all next week. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Javier.
Bye,
Bye.
Bye.